if you'd have told me like 3 years ago that I would be running my own kind of six-figure business, I would have been like, nah.
Hi, I'm Hannah Lynn. Welcome to WACI, the show that celebrates successful women authors and hopefully inspires you to see that maybe if you fancy it, you can do the same. Remember, if you enjoy this show, please hit like, and also please don't forget to subscribe so that you don't miss any of the amazing authors that we've got coming up on the shows in the next few weeks. Today, we are joined by the absolutely incredible Heather G. Harris.
Hi.
Heather, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So, Heather writes phenomenally addictive books. And Heather, could you please start by telling us a little bit about your writing journey? Like, how did it begin and how did you end up where you are?
That's a meaty question to start with.
Go
You think
for
it's simple, but it's not. It's meaty. So I write urban fantasy, and I guess my kind of background is I grew up reading epic fantasy and sci-fi, and that was kind of like my childhood was growing up with like Anne McCaffrey and that sort of thing. And my mum was actually a writer, so I always grew up like, so one of my earliest memories is kind of sitting on her lap in front of a computer, and I was kind of dictating to her a little story about us having a day out at the zoo and stuff like that. I'm sure, it was terrible. So yeah, it's been a really formative part of my childhood, the kind of concept that my mum was always writing stories and I could also write stories. So it's just been kind of part and parcel of my upbringing. And then I wrote stories a lot, even at kind of university age. And then I kind of fell out of it because I was studying to become a lawyer and I didn't have loads of spare time at that point. So the writing kind of fell to the wayside. And then my mum sadly passed away, and I was kind of going through her stuff, and I found all her manuscripts that she hadn't managed to get published because she wanted to go through the kind of traditional route. Although she had an agent, she never had a bite on her book. So then I was like, I'm gonna indie publish some of my mum's books. So I delved into indie publishing and I learned everything there was about publishing. And then I was like, I could do this for my mum, but I could also do this for me. And so I started writing a couple of books, and I let my husband read it, and he said, quote, Heather, this is surprisingly good. Surprisingly good. Thanks, I'll take it. So from there, I kind of thought, okay, well, I'll do something with this. And I contacted one agent who worked out of Liverpool, which is kind of where I'm based. And she kind of said, this is fantastic. I love the themes of the story. I love the pace. I love the humor. But Trad isn't really looking for urban fantasy too much at the moment. So it's not something that I'm going to pick up right now. And I kind of went, well, that was my try at trad, and now I'm going to indie pub. I think part of becoming a lawyer, because I was a fully qualified lawyer for a number of years, is you have to apply for a training contract, and it's like gold dust, you know, and you're applying to law firm after law firm after law firm for this training contract, which is a 2-year training contract. And it took like 200 applications and rejections until a law firm finally said yes to me, and they took me on as their trainee. So I had this kind of backdrop of like, I'm not doing that again.
Yeah.
I had one rejection and I was like, no, I want to go into submission. I'm not going to do this traditional way. I'm going to do this my way. And so that was really it. I wrote 4 books. I'd sunk into the kind of knowledge about indie publishing. I knew rapid release was a really good thing to do. And when I was about 6-7 months pregnant, I hit publish on book 1, then I did book 2, then I did book 3, did book 4, and then I went off on maternity leave, had a baby, and had a year to see how those kind of books went. And I never had to go back to law.
Amazing. That's amazing. There's such a such a wonderful story, like a story in itself, finding your mum's books there, like that feels like it's a novel. And yeah, amazing. Also, when my husband first read something I'd written, he went, oh, it's not actually that bad. So, similar phrasing here. So yeah, he's well, it's
Lovely,
not
supportive
actually
husband. And of
bad.
course, your husband is incredibly supportive, as is mine, actually, I must say.
They
But
are, yes. But perhaps don't always have the way with words that we would quite like them to.
no, he
Oh,
always
but
reads all my books for me. But I always say to him, like, remember to say something nice first before you give me the critical stuff. Because he always goes, like, I didn't like this scene and I didn't like, and I'm like, yeah, but what bits did you like? Like, just give me the
it's so true, because you trust them to give you the full feedback, and you need it. You need that critical feedback and that person that will
absolutely.
be completely honest with you. But it's like, can you be completely honest in a really nice, gentle way, please? That maybe minimizes the bits you didn't like so much.
Say the nice stuff first. That's all I say. Just like nice, nice, nice. Then like a couple of critical, and then some more nice, nice, and then I can cope with it.
Brilliant. So amazing story. And how long ago was that then? How long ago since you didn't have to go back?
Oh, so I hit publish September 2021. So yeah, nearly, well, 2.5 years ago.
Amazing. Absolutely brilliant. So, as you talked about, you went self-published, you went the indie route, which so many of our authors have done, and I've done that and do both, and there is no right, no wrong. But one thing we know about the indie market is marketing, marketing, marketing. Don't we love marketing?
Oh
Um,
God.
what's your most creative strategy for marketing your books? What's the most
Oh,
creative thing you've done there for marketing your books?
creative is such a hard thing to do. I mean, I've got one of the things I did in the kind of the urban fantasy world was I started making a lot of friendships with a lot of other urban fantasy authors. And I kind of found out who was self-publishing, and we kind of reached out and did like newsletter swaps and started chatting and all sorts of things like that. And then from there, we kind of formed a little group. And we did like across Christmas, a Christmas calendar of books. So like day one would be like Jana Ruth, for example. Book two would be Rosie Wyler Owens, and then each day we would each share each other's kind of book of the month as kind of like a book for Christmas type deal. So that we were going to do like the 12 days of Christmas type advent calendar type thing, but then there was so many of us that wanted to get involved that we just ended up doing the whole of December. Um, so that was quite creative. I think probably the most creative one I'm doing at the moment is the YouTube channel, because that's still quite new and fresh, and obviously you know all about it. Um, but kind of giving people, your audiobooks away for free is quite a creative way to then subsequently make money. People are a bit like, oh, is that a good idea? Like I had some readers PM me out of concern and say, like, listen, you've already said that audiobooks are super expensive to produce, so giving it away for free, is that a good idea? And I'm like, yes, it is. I promise.
And you have your hellhounds. Let's not forget, though you have a very, very loyal following in your hellhounds that
Yeah, my
are
hellhounds are amazing. So one of my very dear friends, Chris Rowan, yesterday he was due to have a book bub, but unfortunately, due to a kind of timing snafu on the kind of KDP countdown and book bub thing, the book wasn't discounted in time, and so he didn't actually get the book bub, which he'd spent obviously several $100s having. And I just posted in my group and I said, guys, can we help Chris? It's 99p. And I said, Hellhounds ho! It's the call for them all to come to me and help me. And then
Oh,
it was just like, bought it, got it, read it, grabbed it, like, and it's just like, I love the supportive community that I have. The support's not just me, but like any kind of indie author that I kind of find and they say, like, this person's amazing, check out their stuff. And everyone's like, okay, I'll go and have a
they
look. And
helped
I,
they helped us get this YouTube channel up and
yeah,
going. I do definitely have the hellhounds to thank. So if any of you are watching this, thank you very, very much.
they are
All right, so we need
amazing.
to talk about your books. And random question. What is, I've got a list of questions in case you can't tell that I'm looking down from this. That is what I'm doing. But what I want to know is, have you ever based a character on a real person? And if so, do they know?
um I have two that I've based on
Ooh,
real people.
ooh,
One was I based one on my husband because I mean you draw a lot about your husband, I think, for your male characters, and
yeah.
in the early days was really quite based on my husband, and I'd written this book and I had a lovely kind of happily ever after and everything planned for the two characters. And then one day, my husband really pissed me off. And so I wrote into the book that this character that was based on him did something really sneaky. I won't do any spoilers, but it changed the whole course of the story. So rather than that book ending on a happily ever after, it ended on a shock hook that this guy had actually done something really
Ooh.
underhanded.
But does he know it's
And
him?
yeah, he does now. But then I had to go back and I had to change a few things because like I was like, now that I've made this character a little bit like naughty, I was like, I can't base it completely on him. So I had to like change the hair and eye color and description a little bit that didn't actually match him completely. Um, but yeah, that hook is really what's defined the series and now my writing style, that I always have hooks and I always have a twist you don't see coming. And it came from my husband pissing me off one day. So thank you.
That's absolutely amazing. You said two though, so who's the second
Oh
one?
yeah. So the other one was they don't know this one. And it was a relative that really, really upset me and pissed me off. And I'm very slow to anger as a human. And then once you anger me, I hold a grudge. So I wrote a character that got their head ripped off with their name on. But I felt better after that.
Yeah,
So
very cathartic. So, that's
was.
good. Uh, I love it. I absolutely love it. I've only written one character in, and they do not know, but they do not read my books. So, never mind.
They'll find out.
They'll never find out. All right. So you've already said your hellhounds are amazing at contact you and things. Have you received any like humorous feedback or ridiculous feedback ever? Because sometimes the things that our readers say really can make our day, or
Oh God, there's so many. Like, I get this sort of thing like, thank you very much for making me look like a crazy person because I was laughing on the train all the way to work this morning, and that made me giggle. And one of my ARC readers said, uh, so unputdownable, I took it to the toilet with me.
Oh, I love
I
that.
quite like that one.
That's amazing. On the laughing out loud, do you laugh out loud when you're writing your books or cry uncontrollably? I actually have no makeup on this morning because I was crying going through an edit in a cafe. And
Oh, bless
washed
you.
it all off. So, is that something, are you a laugher or a crier when you're writing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't tend to laugh. I kind of like chuckle a bit to myself, and I'm like, that is brilliant. That's really funny. But then I'm not quite sure that everyone else will find it quite as hilarious as me. But I definitely cry. Like anytime I kill a character, like there will definitely be tears, and I will cry my heart out. If I have to say goodbye to a character that I've loved. And my readers know I do kill people. It does happen. And sometimes they're my favorites too, but it's just where the story takes you.
Yeah, yeah, it is. And we do, and it does hurt us as well,
Oh
right?
God, I
You,
cry my
you
heart
just
out.
need
I
to
feel
know
like I've
that.
lost a friend. It's
Yeah,
awful.
it hurts us too. Amazing. So I've got a little bit of a random one here. If your writing style could be considered an ice cream flavor, what would it be and why?
That is random. I would go with chocolate purely because I love chocolate. It is addictive and smooth and yeah, really tasty. There you go.
smooth, tasty books readers, if that's
Food,
your
tasty,
thing.
addictive books. Exactly,
It's,
it's perfect.
then that's what you're here for. Amazing. We've spoken lots about random things. A couple of things getting more direct into your current books. Firstly, where do you get the inspiration from for your stories? Like, is there a place you go to for inspiration, or is it just everywhere?
Not really. I just tend to sit down and write. I'm a real pantser. I just kind of sit and see what comes out. And I really love that kind of discovery process where, like anything could happen.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, I have a kind of set formula of things that I know always happen in my books. Like I always have a strong female protagonist. That's super important. I always have like a non-toxic relationship with a really supportive male main character. I always have some sort of animal sidekick. And then apart from that, there's always murder and magic. So that's kind of like my formula. Those things are in all of my books, but like I just sit down and see kind of who starts talking to me.
I think it's I think it's amazing, and it always surprises me. Like you said, that thing with your husband changed the entire trajectory of your stories. And so often I think like the time of day that I sit down or something that I've seen that day will actually shape an entire book. And I love that sort of organic creation that goes into what we do. That yeah.
It's so magical. I think that there's no other career where, you get such freedom the way that we do. Like we can really write about anything, and that's mind-boggling, isn't it? We're so privileged.
Oh, it is such a luxury to be able to do this. So at the minute, what are you writing? What are
Oh,
you
I've got a
writing?
co-authored series with a very good friend of mine, Gillian Dolbeer. She lives in Alaska in America. And so we're doing a series at the moment where we've got a very posh British young lady who's been turned into a vampire, and she moves to Alaska to get away from the vampire that turned her. And when we were plotting it, the idea, the reason why she went to Alaska was because, they have like 2 months of solid dark. So
Yeah.
we were like, perfect. But actually, practically speaking, to do a story, we ended up giving her a charm that she could walk in the daylight, because otherwise it was too restrictive for her to kind of be working as a kind of, police detective. And actually, she'd only be stuck to the night hours. So we had to kind of work our way around that. But that's a really fun project. We're just, book 2 just came back yesterday from the editor. So I'm just kind of working on going through all of those bits. And then I'm starting on working my way through we've done a first draft of book 3, but it needs some spit polish and extra humor and a bit more emotional depth and stuff. So that's what my plan is for the next couple of weeks.
Can you talk through the co-authoring? Like we've had one other person on here talk about co-authoring. How does that work for you guys? Did you know each other before writing, or are these friendships made through writing?
Just an author friend. We actually hit publish on the same day, I think. So I reached out to her and I said like, hey, you're publishing UF and I'm publishing UF. Let's do a newsletter swap. And she was like, what's a newsletter? And I was like, honey, I've got some stuff to tell you. But because I'd done all that research for my mum's books, I'd done so much in-depth research into kind of the indie model. So I really learned the marketing side. And Jill has learned some of it, but is still out of her comfort zone. So our kind of co-author agreement is she'll do the kind of heavier lifting on the writing and I'll do the heavier lifting on the marketing. So how we do things is we have a Zoom chat and we talk through like characterization, character development, plot points, what we want to happen in the book. And she goes away and she writes a complete kind of first draft, which comes to me at about 50k-ish. And then I do like my own edit then. And I bring it up to probably, well, the first one I brought it up to 90k. The second one I was a bit better and I brought it up to 75k. And then it goes back to her so that she's happy with kind of how I've changed it and tweaked it. And then it goes to the editor then for grammar and all that stuff. But we normally do our Zoom chats and we have like a couple to steer it. And if ever she gets kind of where she's writing and she's got a plot hole or she can't see the next bit, we'll have a Zoom call and we'll just talk through, brainstorm all the issues. And it's like, it's just so much fun. And she'll send me scenes that she's written and, or, and she'll say, what should I do with this character? And what do so we'd mostly on Facebook Messenger back and forth. But the reason we do that way versus some co-authors do, like you write chapter 1, you write chapter 2, you write chapter 3, you write chapter 4. But that works so well with romance when you've got a female and male POVs, because it doesn't matter if the voice is different. But we wanted a consistent voice across the whole book. So if one of us writes a complete first draft and one of us writes the complete second draft, then hopefully the voice should stay consistent across the book. That's the aim. And then I've been doing things like the Facebook ads, the Goodreads giveaway, the graphics, all those sorts of things, the teasers and things. So my side of things is leaning heavier on that. And we use my audiobook narrator to produce the books as well. So I'm the one liaising, and I sort out the covers. So I do like the covers, the audiobooks, the editors, the proofreaders, and the marketing. So I do all that bit, and she does the lion's share of that bit.
Nice.
Yeah, but it works really well. So it's and it's been really fun. Like, it's just been a lot more fun than I thought it would be.
Yeah, I think just having somebody to bounce ideas off, because it's very easy for us to just be stuck on our own in our space, isn't it? Like, a lot of the time we don't necessarily need to speak to people, but that's not always great either.
Yeah, no, some days you can just be in your I've got like a little summer house in the garden where I work, just so I can differentiate between like home and work. But it just means that I can just disappear into my writing shed and just stay there all day. Yes.
Yes, I know that very, very well. That is a skill of mine, disappearing. What do you think you've learned about yourself on your writer's journey? Is there anything that you feel that you've learned that you didn't know that you were capable of, or something maybe you thought that, oh, I'll be great at this, and actually, oh, it's harder than I thought?
I think I've just learned how capable I am, which sounds probably a bit arrogant, but it's been really good, because a lot of my skills as a lawyer have really transferred across to my skills as a writer. So like task prioritization and task organization is like key lawyer skills. Working to a deadline, I mean, that's essential. So I deliberately put pre-orders up to give myself a deadline and that pressure, because I'm so hardwired after years of being a lawyer to kind of need that pressure. And if I don't have a pre-order or a deadline, I'm just like and I love writing, so I need that kind of kick up the butt just to kind of keep me going to the next level. But yeah, I just think if you'd have told me like 3 years ago that I would be running my own kind of 6-figure business, I would have been like, nah.
It's amazing. It's absolutely incredible. And I said, if you haven't read some of Heather's books, please go and check them out, because, well, you'll check one out and then you'll keep checking more and more, more and more out, because as she says, they are like chocolate. They are addictive. Heather, can you just tell people before we wrap up, where can they find your books?
So the ebooks are all exclusive to Amazon, so they're all in the Kindle Unlimited program. So that's why it's good, because you can just binge and burn through them as part of your subscription without having to spend an arm and a leg. But they're also widely available in paperback and hardback and audiobook. So they're on kind of Audible, but they're also on Kobo. You can buy them on my own website direct. You can listen to them for free on my YouTube channel. And same thing with the paperbacks, they're on Waterstones, and just, anywhere you want to find them, really. I've tried to make sure that they're widely available. And I've even got one of my books translated into German. I have another one being translated into French and another one being translated into Polish. So soon in multiple languages.
Incredible. That's absolutely incredible. Heather, thank you so, so much for joining us. If you have enjoyed listening to this, and why wouldn't you, because it's amazing and inspiring, then please make sure that you like this video, and also don't forget to subscribe. Thank you so much for joining us here at WACI.